betrayed. Broken, reborn. This is Novel Binge.
When the airport turnstile turned green, 19 students disappeared at 3 a.m. The system said their documents were valid, their parents had agreed, and their teacher was trustworthy. But in the half-second before the green light came on, I saw the truth written across their faces. At 3:17 a.m., Cheng Man's phone call dragged me out of a 20-minute nap in the airport maintenance room. Shenyang, Gate 6 in T3 International Departures is acting up again. My head still felt heavy. I grabbed my ID badge from the desk and pushed myself out of the chair. Again? Didn't we replace the camera module yesterday? How should I know? Cheng Man sounded like she was trying not to snap. Security is rushing us. There's an international study tour group using the priority lane, and their flight leaves soon. Get over there before they miss it. I hung up, picked up my tool bag, and ran down the employee corridor toward the departure hall. Linhai International Airport was never truly quiet, not even in the dead of night. The lights were so white they almost looked cold. A cleaning truck crawled along the wall. Somewhere, in the distance, the public announcement system repeated its reminder for passengers to watch their belongings. Red-eye flights rolled across the big departure screen, one after another. In front of Gate 6 stood a line of students in blue and white school uniforms. They looked about 17 or 18. Each of them carried the same black backpack and wore a badge around their neck that read, New Passage International Study Tour. Leading them was a middle-aged man in a crisp suit. He had a gentle smile and the kind of calm expression adults used when they wanted children and parents to trust them. A security guard waved the moment he saw me. New, sure. Security. Hurry up and check the old card reader. I crouched beside the base of the turnstile and opened the panel. The wiring was fine. The camera module was running normally. Back-end latency was under 0.2 seconds. By every normal measure, Gate 6 should not have been lagging. I restarted the recognition module. The screen went dark for 2 seconds, then lit up again. The first student stepped forward. The camera's blue light swept across his face. Beep! The green light came on. The screen displayed, verified, Xu Jiyuan, male, 17, Linhai number 2 senior high school, reason for travel, international study tour. Everything looked normal, but at the instant the turnstile opened, the lower right corner of the screen flickered, like static on an old television. Then 3 faint gray lines appeared beside the student's face. Identity overwritten, original records lost, 7th batch blank candidate. My fingers froze over the keyboard. Xu Jiyuan had already dragged his luggage through. The second student stepped up. B. Verify. A second later, the gray text appeared again. Identity overwritten, original records lost, 7th batch blank candidate. The third student. The fourth. The fifth. All the same. A chill crept slowly down my spine. I had worked in airport facial recognition maintenance for 2 years. I had seen false positives, expired IDs, fugitive matches, and once, a system glitch that confidently identified a grown man as a woman. But I had never seen a note like this. More precisely, the standard backend did not even have that field. I looked up at the teacher leading the group. He was softly reminding the students, don't be nervous, one at a time. Keep your passports in your hands. The checkpoint camera caught his face. His identity information appeared on the screen. Zhou Mingd, male, 42, external instructor, Linhai City Education Exchange Center. Verified. Then a line of gray text slowly surfaced. Only 2 words. Deletion officer. My heart dropped. Deletion officer. That did not look like a system label. It looked like a verdict. Hey, Shenyang, the security screener nudged me. Are you done? There's another line of passengers behind them, trying to catch flights. I did not answer. The 6th student had already stepped up. The green light was about to come on again. Almost by instinct, I reached out and hit manual review. Beep, beep, beep. The turnstile light turned red. The lane locked. The whole group stopped. Everyone looked at me. The teacher's smile altered for half a second, then returned. What's wrong? I stared at the screen. The system requires manual review. The security guard frowned. Wasn't that just fixed? There are still anomalies. What kind of anomalies? I opened my mouth. What was I supposed to say? That I saw the students' identities being erased. That their teacher looked like someone assigned to delete them. The guard would not believe me. Even I wondered if I was hallucinating from too many night shifts. The teacher walked over, still polite. Comrade, our students are part of an international study tour registered with the Education Bureau. Our flight departs at 4. Arshu. We are already cutting it close. As he spoke, The screen automatically focused on his face again. Zhou Mingde verified. Deletion officer. Those two words stabbed into my eyes. I forced myself to stay calm. I need to review the authorization documents for this group. Of course. He showed no panic at all. Soon, a staff member brought over the file. Exit, permits, school certificate, guardian authorizations, insurance policy, flight, itinerary, everything was complete. There was even a parental consent video. On the screen, Xu Jiyuan's father faced the camera and said, "I voluntarily consent to my son, Xu Jiyuan, participating in the New Passage International Study Tour program. All itinerary arrangements will be handled by the Linhai City Education Exchange Center." Xu Jiyuan appeared beside him in the video. His expression was calm. "I am participating voluntarily." I stared into his eyes. They were too flat. His voice sounded like a pre-recorded announcement. When Cheng Man arrived, her face was redder than the light on the locked turnstile. "Shen Yan, what are you doing now?" I lowered my voice. "Manager Cheng, there's something wrong with these students' identities." "What exactly is wrong?" An abnormal message appeared in the back end. Cheng Man looked at the screen. Where? The screen was clean. Only one green line remained. Verified. I logged into the maintenance backend and pulled up the recognition records from the past few minutes. Normal. Everything was normal. Those gray lines were gone, as if they had never existed. Cheng Man's voice turned cold. "Shen Yan, do you know what kind of group this is?" "It's a city-backed project, registered with the Education Bureau. The airport arranged a fast track for them. You're going to hold them here because of a system error. Only you can see." "I really saw it just now." "What did you see?" She cut me off. The security guards, the teacher, and the students were all staring at me. I suddenly realized that if I said it out loud, I would become the lunatic in this story. So I changed the wording. There were jumps in the recognition records. The data may have been overwritten. Cheng Man sneered. "Then show me proof." I looked down at the logs again. Nothing. The original recognition stream had been refreshed. Only standard compliance records remained. The teacher sighed. "We understand airport security procedures, but if students miss their flight because of an operational mistake, who will take responsibility?" His tone was mild. The weight behind it was not. Cheng Man glared at me. "Cancel the review." I did not move. She took the maintenance tablet from my hand and logged in with supervisor privileges. Beep. The red light turned green. The turnstile opened. The student I had stopped lowered his head and dragged his luggage forward. As he passed me, he suddenly looked up. It lasted less than half a second. His lips moved. No sound came out, but I knew what he was saying. "Help me." A shudder ran through me. I was about to reach out again when Cheng Man stepped in front of me. "Shen Yan, if you touch that turnstile one more time, don't come back to work tomorrow." One by one, the students walked into the international departure area. The green light kept flashing. Beep, 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 like a countdown. Finally, Zhou Mingde walked through. As he passed me, he paused. "Young man, it's good to be diligent." He smiled. "But don't look at things you shouldn't." I snapped my head up. He had already turned away. His figure disappeared into the cold white light. I stood there with sweat soaking my palms. Cheng Man snapped. "Why are you still standing here? Go report the anomaly and withdraw it. Write it as accidental equipment activation. Don't create trouble for the department." I said nothing. When I returned to the maintenance room, the first thing I did was not clear the log. I plugged in an internal network drive and exported the recognition records from Gate 6 for the past half hour. The study tour group list was still on the screen. Xu Jiyuan, Lin K, Zhao Xiao, Chen Xingyu, 19 students in total. Just as I selected the list, the screen flickered. Xu Jiyuan's name disappeared. In its place was an ordinary passenger, Liu Jiangguo, male, Wu Shisan, overseas business travel. I froze. The second name changed. Then, the third, then, the fourth. The entire study tour group's travel records were being overwritten one by one. Not deleted, replaced, as if someone had erased the original names and written unrelated strangers over them. I had no time to think. I grabbed my phone and took pictures. On the 7th shot, a warning popped up. Abnormal account permissions, connection lost. The screen went black. I sat in the chair and heard my own heart beating. A few seconds later, I opened my photo album. Most of the pictures were blurry. Only one was barely readable. One name remained, Xu Jiyuan. Behind it, a fragment of gray text still lingered. 7th batch. As I stared at that photo, I suddenly remembered my mother standing outside a police station years ago, clutching my father's old coat and crying until she could no longer breathe. I was 10 when my father, Shen Boyan, disappeared. My mother searched everywhere. Police stations, his workplace, hospitals, banks. Every answer was the same. No such person found. This person is not in the system. He had no household registration, no social security, no marriage registration. Even the father field on my birth certificate had been left blank. Everyone said my mother had lost her mind and imagined a husband who had never existed. I was the only one who remembered him. He carried me on his shoulders to watch fireworks. He took apart a broken radio and explained the circuitry to me. Every time we went out, he would pat my head and say, "Xiaoyan, don't put too much faith in what you see on a screen." I did not understand then. Looking at the list now, I felt something hard rising in my throat. I called the police. Half an hour later, officers from the Municipal Bureau's Cybercrime Investigation Detachment arrived at the airport. Their team leader was a young woman with short hair, a black jacket, and sharp eyes. She checked my employee badge. "Shenyan, yes, you're saying someone used the airport identity system to move minors out of the country. It's more than that." I handed her my phone. Their identity records were overwritten. She looked at the blurry photo. "This is your evidence." I paused. The raw logs were cleared, but there should still be remnants in the airport's local cache. If we access Gate 6 directly, we already checked. Her gaze turned colder. "Shenyan, between 3:21 and 3:37 a.m., your account made 7 suspicious attempts to access minors' identity records and export a list." I froze. "No, I accessed them to preserve evidence. The logs show that after the study tour group passed through normally, you accessed student information without authorization." She turned the tablet toward me. Time, IP address, account permissions, access targets. Everything was perfect. Too perfect. Like a confession written in advance. Cheng Man stood nearby, embarrassed and guarded. "Officer Liu, Shenyan really hasn't been doing well lately. Too many night shifts, too much pressure. Just now, he insisted there were strange notes in the system, but none of us saw anything." I looked at her. "Manager Cheng, you know Gate 6 locked just now. Accidental contact with the equipment." She avoided my eyes. "You said yourself, it might have been a momentary fluctuation." I looked toward the spot where Zhou Mingde had stood. It was empty. "Where is Zhou Mingde?" "Officer," Liu said, "the study tour group has boarded. We contacted the airline and immigration authorities. Their documents are genuine and valid." "He isn't Zhou Mingde." Evidence, that word. Again, I could not explain what I had seen. Officer Liu watched me for a few seconds. "Shenyan, until we find further evidence, you need to cooperate with the investigation. Hand over your phone. There are photos on it. That's why we need to collect it properly." I gripped the phone, her voice lower. "The more you resist, the more it looks like you're hiding something." I looked at her, as her face passed the recognition camera at the entrance to the maintenance room. The screen flickered. "Liu Qinghe, Municipal Bureau, Cybersecurity Detachment, ordinary citizen." There was no gray text. At least, she was real. I handed over my phone. Before dawn, I had gone from the person who called the police to a suspect. The company suspended me. Cheng Man told me to go home and wait for notice. When I walked out of the airport, morning rush hour had already begun in Linhai. Taxis glided into the drop-off zone. Passengers scanned their faces to enter, scanned codes to pay, and passed through access gates as naturally as breathing. For the first time, the city felt strange to me. If the system said someone did not exist, did that mean they truly did not exist? I did not go home. My phone had been taken, so I used my backup phone to log into my cloud storage. Luckily, automatic sync had been on. The photo was still there. I zoomed in, as far as I could. Shu Jiyuan, Linhai. No. 2, Senior High School. I took a taxi to his home. The Shu family lived in a mid to high-end residential complex in the East District. Its access control system was also connected to Sky iCloud. I stood at the visitor intercom and pressed the unit number. After a long wait, a middle-aged woman answered the video call. "Who is it?" "Hello, my name is Shenya. I met your son, Shu Zhuyuan, at the airport last night." Her expression changed at once. Then, she forced it down. "My son isn't home." "I know. He left on an international study tour." "Then why are you here?" I stared at the screen. The access camera captured her face, and text flashed in the upper corner of the visitor terminal. "Chen Yaqin, Shu Juyuan's mother." Then gray words appeared beneath it. "Warn, remain silent." My heart sank. "Auntie, he may be in danger." Her voice trembled. "Don't talk nonsense. My son is fine. Have you actually had a live video call with him?" Before she could answer, a man's voice came from behind her. "Let him come up." The woman hesitated. "Old Shu, let him come up." The door opened. The Shu family's living room was spotless. A study guide lay on the coffee table. Shu Juyuan's father, Shu Chenghai, sat on the sofa with bloodshot eyes. He showed me a video. In it, Shu Jiyuan sat in a hotel room with a plain white wall behind him. "Dad, Mom, I arrived. It's nice here. Don't worry." Shu Chenghai's hand shook as he held the phone. "You saw that? Was this a live video?" "Of course." I looked at the call history. The time stamp was 4:52 a.m. but Xu Zhuyuan's flight had not taken off until 4:20. The flight from Linhai to the destination took at least 3 hours. This video wasn't filmed overseas, I said. Xu Chenghai's cheek twitched. What exactly are you trying to do? The household ID screen by the door was lit. The camera captured his face. Xu Chenghai warned, remain silent. Another fainter line appeared below. Voluntary submission. I frowned. What did you submit? Xu Chenghai shot to his feet. Get out. Chen Yakin's eyes filled with tears. Young man, please, I'm begging you, don't ask anymore. He's our only son. That's why we can't let him. What do you know? Xu Chenghai suddenly shouted. Do you think we didn't call the police? Do you think we didn't contact the school? Do you think we wanted him to go? He stopped halfway through. His phone rang. No, caller ID. He glanced at the screen, and his face turned white. He answered, listened for 2 seconds, then hung up. When he looked at me again, his voice had completely changed. Mr. Shen, my son joined the study tour voluntarily. Please stop harassing our family. I knew I could not keep asking. As I was leaving, Chen Yaqin suddenly slipped a piece of paper into my hand. It happened so quickly that even Xu Chenghai did not notice. She was afraid of the camera in the living room. I opened the paper after I went downstairs. There was only one line. No. 2. High school archives. Old photographs. I went to Linhai. No. 2. High school. The security guard would not let me in, so I circled to the side gate and slipped into the teaching building during lunch break. The archives were on the 3rd floor. I had once worked on the school's access control system. I knew the blind spots in older buildings like this. At the end of the hallway hung a wall of class photos. Class 1, grade 11. I searched them one by one. Xu Zhuyuan was not there, but Chen Yakshin would not have risked passing me a useless note. I leaned closer. In the second row on the right was a boy with a stiff smile. His face did not quite match the lighting around him. It looked pasted on. I took a photo with my backup phone and zoomed in. There were faint blending marks along the edge of his face. The name below him read Liu Ziang, but Liu Ziang had not been on the airport list I photographed last night. Before I could look further, a voice rang out behind me. Who are you? An academic affairs staff member stood at the top of the stairs. I turned and ran. When I climbed over the side gate, the iron railing cut into my cap. The pain nearly dropped me to my knees, but I did not dare stop. By then, I finally understood one thing. Xu Zhuyuan had not simply been taken away. His existence was being replaced. From the airport to his home, to his school, every place that could prove he had existed was being rewritten into another story. When I got back to my apartment building, my backup phone received a text from an unknown number. Are you investigating identity overlap? I stared at the words until my fingers went cold. A dozen seconds later, another message came. Want to know what a blank person is? Warehouse, 17, Old Port District. Tonight, at 10, come alone. I should not have gone. Anyone reasonable would know it was a trap, but I went anyway. I had seen that number before. It was on the last page of the old notebook my father left behind. No name, only one scrawled line. If one day I can't be found, call this number. Warehouse 17 in the Old Port District had a rusted iron gate. The moment I walked in, something hard pressed against my lower back. Don't move. The voice was young. I slowly raised my hands. Joe ran. The person behind me fell silent. You know me. Shen Boyan left your number with me. The pressure against my back loosened. He came around to face me. He looked 24 or 25. His hair was messy. His eyes were shadowed with dark circles, and an old sweatshirt hung from his shoulders. He looked me up and down. What is Shen Boyan to you? My father. Joe Ran's expression changed. Then he let out a short laugh. I don't know whether your father is alive or dead, but if you keep digging, you definitely won't live long. Do you know what identity overlap is? I know a little. What about blank people? The smile disappeared from his face. In the corner of the warehouse sat a modified computer connected to a messy pile of devices. Joe Rand sat down in front of it. Let's get one thing clear. I don't do charity. 100,000 per check. I don't have that. Then, why are you here? I can see them. Joe Rand looked up. I showed him the photo. In the blurry picture, the faint outline of 7th batch remained beside Xu Zhuyuan's name. Joe Rand took one glance, and his fingers froze. Where did you get this? Airport turnstile. You captured an afterimage? By accident. No. He stood, locked the warehouse door, and turned off the overhead light. Only the blue glow of the computer remained. For overlaid identities, a normal backend can only see the overlay layer. If you captured the original afterimage, your account isn't clean. What does that mean? It means someone left you a hole. Joe Ran opened a black command window and typed quickly, Xu Zhuyuan, Linhai. No, 2. High school, international study tour, right? A few minutes later, old archive images appeared on the screen. The video was choppy, like fragments dug out of digital trash. Shu Jiwan's photo appeared. Below it were school enrollment, household registration, and guardianship records. Every item was marked in red. 7th batch blank candidate. I stared at the screen. What exactly is a blank person? Zhou Ran lit a cigarette. His hand trembled before the flame caught. It's not the same as being undocumented, he said. An undocumented person is someone the system doesn't recognize. A blank person is someone the system recognizes only in the way it wants you to recognize them. I still did not understand. He continued. A person's birth, schooling, medical treatment, spending, housing, and travel all leave traces. As long as those connections exist, that person can't completely vanish. And, if all those connections are cut, my throat felt dry. Then he stops existing. Exactly. Give him a new identity, and he can become anyone. A stand-in, an executor, a scapegoat, a test subject, disposable after use. The system won't record his real family, school, address, or past. Even if his body showed up at the police station door, no one could identify him. The warehouse fell silent. Then, an alert appeared on the computer. External link error. Zhou Ran's face changed. They traced us. Gu Chengzhou's people? You already know, Gu Chengzhou. Who? Zhou Ran cursed. Then you still don't know who you've crossed. He typed frantically. Shu Juyuan's profile began to break apart on the screen. Before it disappeared completely, I saw a deeper directory name. Vitalist Project, Bidi Linhai. Node. The next second, the computer went black. Brakes screeched outside. Zhou Ran grabbed his backpack. Moo. We climbed over the warehouse's back wall and ran into the chaotic alleys of the old port. It took more than 10 minutes before we finally shook them off. I leaned against a wall, gasping. Zhou Ran pushed me into the shadows. From now on, don't use facial recognition. Don't scan QR codes. Don't stay in hotels. Don't take the subway. And don't use any registered phone. Why? He looked at me as if I were already dead. Because you've been marked. I soon understood what he meant. The next morning, I went to a convenience store for water. QR payment. Failed. Account at risk. I switched to another bank card. Transaction restricted. The clerk looked at me warily. I paid in cash. After leaving, I tried to take the subway to find Lu Qinghe. The turnstile flashed red. Identity verification failed. I returned to my rental apartment. The access control camera scanned my face. Recognition failed. I entered my ID number. No such resident. I called the landlord. The moment he answered, he started yelling. Shenyan, what the hell did you do? The community system just notified me. You're suspected of illegal activity and told me to terminate your lease immediately. Who notified you? The community system. Are you kidding me? He hung up. 5 minutes later, my backup phone lost signal. The carrier page showed number status deactivated. I stood outside my apartment complex in bright sunlight. People walked past me and entered through facial recognition. Delivery riders scanned codes to pick up orders. Children used electronic student cards to board buses. Everyone moved through the system as usual. Only I was being pushed out of the city. Zhou Ran took me to one of his temporary hideouts. It was a basement in an urban village. Damp, dark, with peeling plaster on the walls. This is only contamination, he said, not full cancellation. I sat on a worn-out sofa. There's something worse. Of course, he looked at me. Aunts, you're officially cancelled. Your ID number, education, family relationships, everything disappears. If the police arrest you, they won't even know what name to put on the file. I gave a dry smile. Sounds like we're close. Zhou Ran did not smile. That's how my sister disappeared. It was the first time he had mentioned his sister. I did not ask, because footsteps suddenly echoed outside the door. Zhou Ran went still. In the corner was an abandoned surveillance camera. It had been broken for years, but its metal casing reflected the light from his phone. That faint reflection lit his face. A gray line appeared. Hesitating to report, my heart sank. He avoided my eyes. Stay here. I'm going out to get food. Zhou Ran. He stopped. Did you sell me out? His shoulders tensed. No. The gray text remained. Hesitating to report strangely. I was not angry. It was normal to be afraid of death. I was afraid too. Did you tell them where I am? He said nothing. I nodded, picked up a pen, and wrote an address on a piece of paper. Then tell them again. Zhou Ran froze. Tell them I moved. 10 minutes later, 3 black minivans rushed to an abandoned internet KFF 2 kilometers away. That was the fake address I had given Zhou Ran. He and I lay on the rooftop of the opposite building, watching through an old pair of binoculars as the men broke down the door. They wore plain jackets, but their movements were too precise. 2. Uniform. Each time, one of them passed the internet KFS facial recognition camera. Gray text appeared in my vision. Temporary status destroy after mission. Temporary status destroy after mission. Zhou Ran's face went pale. They're not security. Blank people. Worse. His voice turned hoarse. Expendables. One of the operatives removed his mask, and I caught a clear view of his face. Joe Ran gripped the railing so hard his knuckles turned white. How? You know him? He swallowed. That face is the new ID photo the system generated after my sister went missing. I said nothing. Wind swept across the rooftop, carrying the damp, musty smell of the urban village. Joe Ran whispered, Shenyan, I'll help you. I looked at him. He gave a bitter smile. Don't look at me like that. I'm afraid to die, but I'm even more afraid my sister will disappear without leaving so much as a name behind. That evening, Wu Chengzhou appeared on the news for the first time. Linhai City Smart Security Briefing. He stood at a podium in a dark gray suit. Behind him was a blue backdrop reading, Sky Cloud Urban Identity Security System. The host introduced him, Mr. Gu Chengzhou, Vice President of Sky Cloud Linhai, Branch and Urban Security Expert. In the footage, Gu Chengzhou looked about 40, thin face, calm expression, steady voice. Recently, we detected a malicious attack against the public identity authentication system. He looked straight into the camera. The attacker exploited outsourced maintenance privileges to illegally access data belonging to minors and attempted to create public panic. Relevant evidence has been handed to the police. The next second, the broadcast cut to a photo. Me, Shen Yan, outsourced security technician at New Shore Security, suspected of illegally collecting minors' personal information and attacking public safety systems. Below it was a police request for information. Joe Ran turned off the video. Once he labels you as the attacker, no one will believe anything you say. I stared at the black screen. Just now, when Gu Chengzhou had passed the facial recognition screen at the briefing entrance, the camera had caught the side of his face. I had seen gray text, Whitelist Manager. Then it flickered. Principal. I remembered those words. Early the next morning, Lu Qinghe cornered me in an alley. She brought 3 officers. I turned to run, but someone blocked the other end too. Lu Qinghe aimed her gun at me. Shenyan, don't move. I raised my hands. Officer Lu, I didn't attack the system. Then, why are you running? Because your system says I'm a criminal. She stared at me. From the airport, to the school, to your frozen accounts. Every time there's a system abnormality, you're there. So you think I did it? I want to hear your explanation. Rain dripped from the edge of a shed, drop by drop, hitting the ground between us. I could not tell her I saw gray notes. Even if I did, she would not believe me. So, I said, check Gate 6's offline logs. I already checked, not the online backend, the local cache. On Gate 6, Chung Man must have kept a backup. Lu Qinghe frowned. How do you know? She's afraid of taking responsibility. She would keep something in case she needed to shift blame. It was harsh. It was also true. Lu Qinghe was silent for a few seconds. What else? The video from Shu Juyuan's home is wrong. The call time doesn't match the flight time, and the class photo at No. 2 High School was edited. Find the original. An officer at the other end of the alley called out. Team leader, Lu. Lu Qinghe did not move. She looked at me. Shenyan, if you lie to me, I'll catch you myself. What if I'm not lying? She did not answer. She stepped aside. Half a step. It was enough. I ran. Behind me, an officer shouted. Team leader, Lu. Lu Qinghe said coldly. The road is slippery. The target ran toward East Alley. Chase him. I ran through West Alley. That was the first time I felt that in this city that refused to recognize me, there might still be one person willing to slow down before condemning me. 2 days later, Joe Ran received an anonymous file. Gate 6, offline log. No signature, but I knew it was from Lu Qinghe. The log showed 19 abnormal access records between 3:27 and 3:34 a.m. The names were redacted, and many fields were incomplete, but 3 records retained their original hashes. Chung Man's private backup became the first crack in the wall. Joe Ran was so excited, he almost punched the table. At least this proves the airport records were tampered with. I looked at the incomplete hashes, but I could not feel happy. It's not enough, of course not, but it's better than telling people you saw ghosts. The moment he finished speaking, every screen in the room went black. It was not a power outage. All accounts on the backup computer had been disconnected at the same time. Joe Ran's face changed. They hear. No. I picked up my ID card and ran it through his modified offline reader. The reader flashed a few times. Invalid document. I entered my ID number. No citizen information. Found. Joe Ran fell silent. I opened an education verification site. No records found. Social security. No records found. Household registration. No records found. Then I checked the cemetery registry for my mother. I had been the registered next of kin. Now, the name had changed. Wang Qishan relationship. Distant nephew. I stared at the screen, my fingers trembling. Joe Ran whispered. Shenyan, I could no longer hear him clearly. All I remembered was my mother on her deathbed, clutching my hand. Xiaoyan, your father wasn't fake. You must never forget him. I had promised her, but now, the system was telling me I was about to become fake too. I rushed out of the basement and went to the cemetery in the rain. The administrator looked at me through the glass. We can't find any record proving your relationship to the deceased, so you can't enter. I'm her son. It isn't in the system. Let me see her for 1 minute. Sir, please don't make this difficult. He pointed to the camera above his head. Everything is connected now. We can't take responsibility if something goes wrong. I stood outside the glass and looked at the rows of gravestones, blurred by rain. My mother was right there, but the system had even taken away my right to visit her. At that moment, I no longer wanted to prove that I existed. I wanted to smash the thing that made people disappear. After the rain stopped, I searched through the box of my mother's belongings and found an old employee ID card. The man in the photo was much younger, wearing black-framed glasses. Name: Liang Chiming. Unit: Linhai Urban Identity System. Phase I Project Team On. The back was a handwritten address: West City, Old Archives. When Zhou Ran saw the name, his expression changed. Liang Chiming is still alive. You know him. I heard of him. Before my sister disappeared, I investigated the first project team. 3 people from that team vanished later: Shen Boyan, Liang Chiming, and one more, Gi Chengzhou. Zhou Ran nodded. The old archive building stood at the end of a street in West City. Gray walls, iron gate. Even the access control system was an old facial recognition model from more than 10 years ago. I stood before the camera. The screen did not recognize me. At that point, no system could find my name, but an old man with gray hair came out from inside. The archive is closed. I showed him the old employee ID card. Liang Chiming, I'm Shen Boyan's son. His expression changed instantly. I don't know Shen Boyan. He tried to close the door. I wedged my foot in the gap. Was my father erased from the registry back then too? The veins on the back of his hand stood out. Get out. The old access camera captured his face. The screen froze. Liang Chiming, archive administrator. Then gray text appeared. Surviving architect. Oh Shen Boyan. A debt. I stared at him. What debt do you owe my father? Liang Chiming suddenly turned back. You can see it. I said nothing. His face seemed to age another 10 years. Half an hour later, I sat in the archive basement. Paper files and old servers were piled everywhere. Liang Chiming poured me a cup of hot water. When Sky Eye Cloud first began, it wasn't called Sky Eye Cloud, he said. It was called the Living Identity Verification System. I held the cup, but did not drink. What does that mean? Once a city becomes digitized, everyone depends on electronic identity. If someone can tamper with identity, the result is worse than murder. He looked at me. So your father designed a countermeasure at the foundation level. Any identity overlay had to retain an original index. As long as a living verifier existed, the overlay could never fully erase the original person. A living verifier. He avoided my eyes. You don't need to know that yet. My account has already been cancelled. I know. Then, what are you still hiding? Liang Chiming was silent for a long time. Back then, Gu Chengzhou proposed whitelist authority. He claimed it was for special missions, witness, protection, and counterterrorism. Your father opposed it. He said once power was allowed to erase people, it would eventually be used to devour them. My throat tightened. What happened after that? The engineering team split. Your father took some original keys with him. Gu Chengzhou led another group and seized control of the system. Liang Chiming's voice dropped. After that, Shen Boyan vanished from every record. The rest of us who survived kept quiet. I stared at him. Why didn't you disappear? Because I knelt fast enough. He said it calmly, but his eyes were red. Suddenly, the sound of a car came from outside the archive. Liang Chiming's expression changed. They found you. I thought this place was offline. They didn't find it through the system. He pulled an old hard drive from under a cabinet and shoved it into my arms. Nangang, old data center. The original archive from the old version is still there. Is my father in it? Liang Chiming looked at me. Maybe. Glass shattered upstairs. He pushed open the basement's back door. Go. What about you? I owe your father. Today I pay back a little. As I ran into the alley, I heard a struggle behind me, followed by muffled groans. I gritted my teeth and did not look back. Zhou Ran waited at the end of the alley. We had just gotten into the car when a black minivan blocked the road ahead. Operatives poured out. No warning. No shouting. They came straight for me. Zhou Ran jerked the steering wheel. The car scraped the wall and shot down the narrow street. I clutched the hard drive, my heart hammering. As we passed under the Nangang elevated highway, I suddenly saw a familiar figure by the roadside. Blue and white school uniform, black backpack. Xu Jiyuan, He stood beneath a bus stop sign, his face blank as paper. "Stop the car," I shouted. Zhou Ran snapped. "Are you crazy? That's Xu Zhuyuan." The car had not fully stopped before I rushed out. Xu Zhuyuan looked up at me. His eyes were strange. "Who are you?" An advertising screen beside the bus stop had a facial recognition camera mounted above it. As blue light swept across his face, gray characters flickered. "Identity overlay in progress, original consciousness." Remnant. I grabbed his shoulder. "Xu Zhuyuan, do you remember the airport?" His pupils contracted. His lips moved. "Nangang? What?" His voice was almost inaudible. "The old data center." The next second, his face went blank again. Brakes sounded in the distance. The operatives had caught up. Xu Zhuyuan suddenly shoved me away. "Don't save me." For one brief moment, pain flashed through his eyes. "Save them." Then he turned and got into an unlicensed minivan. The door closed. I tried to chase him, but Zhou Ran dragged me back into the car. "If you go after him now, you're dead." I watched the minivan disappear around the corner. It felt as if a stone had lodged in my chest. Nangang, old data center. Every clue pointed there. Nangang sat on the edge of Linhai's old industrial zone. 10 years ago, it had been the city's data backup center. After the new center was completed, the old building was officially abandoned, but Zhou Ran discovered it had been consuming electricity continuously for the past 3 years. "A lot of electricity. I can't get you through the main entrance," Zhou Ran said, spreading satellite images across the table. "Vehicles, personnel, equipment, everything needs credential scanning. You don't have credentials anymore." "Perfect." He paused. I pointed at the service entrance. "What about temporary workers?" Zhou Ran understood at once. "Cleaning, moving, temporary construction permits. They don't enter those into the full real name database. Only basic temporary IDs. I don't exist in the full database, so advanced systems can't find you, and the basic system has nothing to compare you against." He looked at me. "You're a loophole." I smiled. For the first time, losing my identity has benefits. 3 days later, wearing a gray work uniform and a mask, I blended into a group of temporary laborers and entered Nangang. The logistics entrance had old turnstiles. The security guard glanced at my disposable temporary pass and waved me in. I kept my head lowered and pushed a cart deeper inside. The inside of the building was far newer than the exterior. The walls had been repainted. The corridors were clean. Cameras hung everywhere. On the second basement level, I saw a row of unmarked dorm rooms. No names, only numbers. B7, -013, B7, -014, B7, -015. At the end of the hallway was a training room. Inside, a dozen young people repeated the same movements under instruction. Raise the gun, release, turn, recognize. Their faces were empty, like machines that had been formatted. Next to the training room was an ID printing room. Machines produced ID cards, employee badges, and access cards one after another. The screen kept refreshing. Temporary identity generation, social relationship detachment mission. Duration, 72 hours. My palms were soaked in sweat. This was not a kidnapping hideout. It was an assembly line for people who could disappear. Following the clues from Liang Chiming's hard drive, I found the server room on the 3rd basement level. A central access door blocked the entrance. Facial recognition required. I stood before the camera. At first, the screen remained blank. Then a message appeared. Unidentified person. A second later, gray text surfaced. Residual original permission. The door lock clicked. It opened. I froze. Before I could think, someone behind me began to applaud. Shenyan, Gu Chengzhou, stepped out of the shadows. 4 operatives stood behind him. Lights came on all around us. Only then did I realize I was not standing at the entrance to an empty server room. Behind transparent glass was a massive core server array, and I was standing in front of the central identity terminal. Gu Chengzhou smiled at me. "You arrived earlier than I expected." I gripped the hard drive. "You let me in on purpose?" "Of course." He walked closer. "A person whose record has been erased can evade many routine tracking systems. You thought that was your advantage. But did you never wonder why Nangang's central access control would open for you?" I said nothing. He raised a hand. The large screen behind him lit up. A list appeared. First batch of blank people. I saw many names. Zhou Ran's sister. Zhou Qing's status. Cover. Then I saw my father's name. Shen Boyan. After it were 2 words. Prototype 0. My ears began to ring. Gu Chengzhou spoke softly. "Did you always think your father was only a victim?" I stared at the screen. "What do you mean?" Shen Boyan was the first person to give the system the ability to erase data. His tone almost sounded regretful. "He was brilliant, too brilliant, and too idealistic. He invented living verification, but refused to hand it over. Without him, there would be no whitelist project." My chest tightened. "You're lying." Whether I'm lying no longer matters. Gu Chengzhou took another step forward. What matters is that you carry the last permission set he left behind. Once you are eliminated, no one will ever see the original indexes again. He lifted his hand. The operatives pinned me against the terminal. My face was forced toward the central camera. The screen lit up. Unknown identity, overwrite cleanup process. Started. Gu Chengzhou leaned down and whispered beside my ear. Shenyan, your father couldn't stop me. Neither can you. I looked at myself on the screen. No name, no ID number, no education record, no relatives. In the system, I was nothing. But when the cleanup progress reached 17%, more gray text suddenly appeared before my eyes. Not one line, a whole page, like ink rising through water. Xu Jiyuan, Zhou Qing, Shen Boyan, and countless names I did not recognize. Behind every name was a layer of darkness. Then, I heard a faint sound, not with my ears. It felt as if it came from an old hard drive very far away. Xiaoyan, don't put too much faith in what you see on a screen. In that instant, I understood. What I had seen was never an illusion. It was not a glitch. I was the key. My father had not hidden the final permission in the hard drive. He had hidden it in me. I raised my hand and pressed my palm against the scanner's edge. Gu Chengzhou sensed something wrong. Stop him. Too late. The old hard drive connected automatically. The cleanup program froze. A new message appeared. Living verification permission confirmed. Recovering original index for the first time. Gu Chengzhou's expression changed. Impossible. I looked at him. The system was never built to erase people. All the servers in the core room began to beep. On the main screen, layers of rewritten records peeled away. Airport, school, hospital, bank, cemetery, household registration. Countless altered records flashed back to their original forms. Xu Jiyuan's student status was restored. Zhou Qing's household registration reappeared. First batch, second batch, third batch, all the way to the seventh. The full list of blank people was sent to the offline evidence channel Lu Qinghe had set up. Zhou Ran's voice came through the external communication screen, hoarse and shaking. Shenyan, we're connected. Lu Qinghe received the list. Gu Chengzhou rushed forward and tried to pull out the hard drive. The access control system locked. The operatives behind him suddenly stopped moving. Their gray labels changed. Temporary status destroy after mission. Then they became original identity pending restoration. One of them took off his mask and touched his own face in confusion. Gu Chengzhou roared, carry out the order. No one moved. He turned and tried to run. The security door scanned his face. Gu Chengzhou, Vice President, Sky Cloud Linhai Branch. The gray text exploded beneath it. Illegal overlay source identity fraud. Head of whitelist project. Linhai note. The red light came on. The door locked from the inside. Gu Chengzhou stood before it, pale. I looked at him. Don't you trust the system? He turned back, eyes full of hatred. Shenyan, do you think you've won? Police sirens sounded outside. Closer and closer. When Lu Qinghe led her team into the core server room, I could barely stand. She held me up, looked at the list on the main screen, and spoke very softly. Is all of this real? I nodded. It's real, even pinned to the ground. Gu Chengzhou was still smiling. Linhai is only one stop. He lifted his head and looked at me. If you tear off this layer, the people behind it will see you. I did not answer, because on the screen, the field beside father was still visible. Shen Boyan prototype. 0. His status was not dead. It was not overwritten either. It was online afterimage. 3 months later, the Linhai whitelist project became the subject of a public investigation. The news did not mention my ability. According to the official statement, the Municipal Public Security Bureau's Cybersecurity Detachment, working with technical experts, discovered severe illegal tampering at the Linhai node of the Sky Cloud identity system. Gu Chengzhou and his associates were taken away. Cheng Man was disciplined. She called me once afterward. For a long time, she said nothing. Then, her voice came through, hoarse. Shenyan, I'm sorry. I was just afraid of losing my job. I know. I didn't think they would really dare to erase people. I did not say anything else. Xu Jiyuan was found. He had lost a lot of weight, and part of his memory was gone. His parents hugged him and cried in the hospital hallway. He stood there quietly, like someone who had just learned the way home. Only half of Zhou Qing's file was restored. Her photos returned. Her name returned. But she did not. Zhou Ran printed one restored old photo and kept it in his wallet. At least she isn't blank anymore, he said. Lu Qinghe was suspended for a period during the internal review. Later, she joined the special investigation team. When she came to see me, she handed me a new ID card. Shenyan, male, 26. She looked at me. Welcome back. I took the card and ran my fingertips over my name. The card was light, but it felt as if I had found a bone I had lost long ago. That evening, I returned to Linhai International Airport. At T3 International departures, Gate 6 had been replaced with new equipment. Passengers lined up for facial recognition. The green light came on. Beep. Verification complete. I stood before the checkpoint. The blue camera light swept across my face. The screen displayed Shenyang status, normal. The turnstile opened, but I did not walk forward, because in the next second, a gray line visible only to me slowly appeared. Prototype 0 is still online. The phone in my pocket vibrated. An email had arrived. The sender was my father's old email address from 20 years ago. There was no subject, only one sentence in the body. Xiaoyan, if you're reading this, then Linhai was only the beginning.